just the opposite side of the same coin, of the material consciousness. And why we are doing something, why we're studying Srimad Bhagavatam, it's because of the other reason, of exactly different reason. It's neither of those. It's not that we want to become successful in this world. This is why we're studying Shastra. And it's not because we want to renounce this world. Like Srila Prabhupada says, if you go by the bank, like Punjabi Bank or whatever, Axis Bank, and you say, I renounce this bank. I don't need it anymore. Are Baba, you never had it. It's never been yours. So we cannot renounce anything in this world. Therefore, the only proper consciousness and the only proper way to live this life is to become the servant of Krishna. Jivara Swarabhoy Krishna Ranitya Das. That I am the servant of Krishna. Naham vipro nachanara patirna pivaishyana shudra naham varni nachagriha patirno vanastoitirva kintu projan nikila paramananda purnamritadbher gopi bhartu padakamalayor dasa dasa anudasaha. Lord Chaitanya says that I am not a brahmachari, not a grihastha, not a sannyasi, not a brahmana, not a vaishya, not a kshatriya, neither of those. Who am I? I'm just the servant of Krishna. Not even of Krishna, but the servant of the servants of Krishna. This is the proper consciousness. But it's not that easy just to switch our consciousness to that mode. It's much easier to switch between the hero and the victim. Oh yeah, now in the morning I'm the hero, but afternoon that's it, I'm done. I'm the victim. That's easy. Or you take some coffee and then you become hero again. Yeah, that's easy. But to switch your consciousness to becoming the servant of God, that's a whole, that's a whole ordeal. That's a big deal. That's a very, very difficult task. And therefore, we begin with becoming, even if we don't understand ourselves to be proper servants, but what's the way out? What's the way for us how to solve this problem of being not the servant, but at the same time of trying to become the servant of Krishna? What is the solution for us? I don't want to be a hero anymore. I don't want to be a victim in this world. I want to become the servant of Krishna's servants. But I cannot just become the servant. Like sometimes the people, senior brahmacharis, they're not here, so they tell you, like, come on, you're the servant, so just do your seva. So you must be in proper consciousness. Is it that easy just to shift myself into that proper consciousness? Sometimes it's not that easy. Therefore, what is practical for us is to become maybe I'm not the servant, but I'm the disciple. And disciple means I'm learning and I'm following the discipline. Disciple means discipline. And disciple is not someone who is under somebody's guidance, but disciple means one who is acting as a disciple. Means that I want to learn. I want to follow discipline. Maybe I'm not a servant so far. Maybe I don't realize myself as a proper servant, but I understand that I have to change. I have to change my consciousness. And this is my life. And I have to become a disciple. And then I start to learn. Disciple is not someone who is being taught, but the disciple is one who is learning. You see the difference? It's the active position that I am learning. That's why I'm a disciple. It's not that somebody is teaching me and therefore I'm a disciple. No, but I'm learning. This is the very important understanding. So therefore, when we read Srimad Bhagavatam, we're trying to, at the same time, we're doing two things. On one hand, we're coming in contact with Krishna because Srinvatasva Katha Krishna, Punya Shravana Kirtana, just hearing about Krishna is purifying our consciousness. Just reading Bhagavatam purifies our consciousness. And that's enough, basically. But it's enough when we're in a proper consciousness, when we're in proper position, and when we understand that I'm the servant of Bhagavatam. I'm just serving Bhagavatam. Actually, reading Bhagavatam is just serving him, nothing else. It's not that that he is the object that we are reading, that this is the book that we are reading. No, it's not like that. Bhagavatam is the subject, means that he is doing actually activities. He is the one he is the doer. Bhagavatam is doing. Bhagavatam is acting here, the Bhagavatam class. And we are serving Bhagavatam. So if I have this proper consciousness, then I can just read Bhagavatam and enjoy it. From very first verse till the last verse. I will just enjoy, spiritually enjoy. But at the same time, while we are practicing devotees, we cannot say we're devotees. We cannot say we're servants of Bhagavatam. Of course, we want to become those, but we can, maybe not everyone can say that right now, but we can say that we are learning to become servants of Bhagavatam. This is the proper attitude of ours when we come here for Bhagavatam class, that I'm trying to learn some lessons from Bhagavatam. I'm not just listening to Bhagavatam, because if I just listen to Bhagavatam, I may start doing it like I was doing it, well, I have been doing it throughout many years, trying to enjoy Bhagavatam. Oh, this is an interesting story. This is this anecdote I like, or but lessons, deriving lessons from Srimad Bhagavatam. And now we're reading the 4th canto, which is full of lessons. It's a beautiful canto. And basically, Srimad Bhagavatam is describing Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan, and that is described in the 10th canto. But all the cantos before that, they are meant to put or align our consciousness in a proper position, so that we don't just read about Krishna's pastimes in a casual way. Okay, Krishna killed this demon, Krishna killed that demon. I will also kill some demon today. At least my demon of my hunger. Oh yes, after half an hour I will definitely kill the demon properly. No, we are not trying to imitate Krishna. In order for us not to imitate Krishna, we have to perfectly situate our consciousness first. And this is why Bhagavatam has the preliminary canto, or rather, not preliminary, but the first cantos. Cantos beginning from the 3rd to the 9th canto. So these 6 cantos are describing different improper ways of thinking, improper types of consciousness that prevent us from actually serving Krishna. And the 3rd canto was describing the very gross materialism. The gross materialism was that I can just enjoy this world, because this world belongs to me, the resources of this world belong to me. And the personification of this mentality was who? Who was the main hero of the 3rd canto? Who was the main hero of the... Puranjan. Puranjan is in this canto. I cannot hear you. Who? So who was the personification of materialism in the 3rd canto? A person with... materialism means what? Materialism means money. That's what you're saying, money? No? Honda Hero. Yes, that's Hiranyaksha. Hiranyaksha means that my eyes see only gold everywhere. Hiranya Aksha. Aksha means eyes, yeah, correct? Hiranya means gold. So it's not that his eyes were golden, like made of gold, but they were looking for gold everywhere, looking for money basically. And this is the consciousness. This is the first problem of the spiritualist, of aspiring devotee. The first problem is that actually I want to enjoy. in this material world. And I want to enjoy without God, because if God is there, then how can I enjoy? He is the enjoyer, right? How can I enjoy? Like if you're trying to enjoy in the house of your father, if you bring, friends and alcohol and drugs, and how can you enjoy? No, he will come and say, hey, stop, what is this? Go to school. Go to school, go to job, find some job. You cannot enjoy in the house of your father. This is why young people nowadays, they like to live separately. Yeah? No, not with the parents. Because you cannot enjoy with the parents. You have to work. You have to be serious person with your parents. So therefore, the third canto described that, no, you should not enjoy. If you try to enjoy, you will end up like Hiranyaksha. What was his situation ultimately? And the opposite, or the alternative that the third canto is giving us is the Vedic sacrifice, Vedic yagya, which is personified by whom? Who is the personification of Vedic yagya in the third canto? You all know. The incarnation of the Lord. Well, Kapildev, Varahadev. Varahadev, he is the personification of Vedic ritual. That actually this is the way to do. And then comes the fourth canto. This is interesting. Why now we will read the verse, but before we read the verse, we should know the background. What are these verses about? Actually, the fourth canto describes another obstacle on the path of a spiritualist. In our path, dear devotees. It's an obstacle in our life, in our spiritual life. What is that? This obstacle is called karma kanda, which means that I will live, actually, why don't I live just proper Vedic life? Especially, it may be relevant to you, those who, maybe not for me, because I'm living in the West mostly, and people never think about following any Vedic culture there. But here people are quite paka sometimes. Huh? Sometimes. Yesterday we were together with Shanta Krishna Prabhu, we were having an excursion in the temple, and he was showing me all around, and I saw some fireworks going out. And I asked, what is this? He said, oh, some Indian festival. Some Indian, I don't know, he said, oh, those Indians, they are like that. I said, well, he says, those Indians, like, that means he doesn't identify himself as an Indian, which is a very good sign, which means that, because Indian is not a bad thing, but Indian means that I'm a follower of the Indian or Bharatiya culture. I am the follower of Vedic culture. And this is actually what the fourth canto is about. It's about following, rather, not following the Vedic culture. Yes, we are speaking, oh, Vedic culture is so great, we're preaching Vedic culture, but Bhagavatam says, don't follow Vedic culture. Who was the personification of following the Vedic culture, of following karma mimamsa? That was Daksha. And Daksha, his name itself means expert. Expert in what? In following Vedic culture. He was following it precisely. And still, he didn't get any result. Vice versa, he lost everything. So this is a very important lesson, dear devotees. It may be difficult, but we should learn it, ultimately. That from the fourth canto, and now you have just started the fourth canto, and you will learn a lot of more lessons about how not to, what not to do, what is not proper, what is actually proper. And here in the fourth canto, we see that on the one hand, Daksha, he is the personification of the Vedic culture, and he is following it, and as the result, he lost everything. Why? Because there was a clinch, there was a conflict between him and whom? And Shiva, Mahadev, who is the personification of bhakti? Well, personifies the Jnana Mishra Bhakti, technically speaking. But he is the representation of something higher than Vedic culture. He is the essence, he represents the essence of Vedic culture, which is what? Sarvasi chaham hridisa nivishta matah sar apohanam cha vidashcha sarvar aham eva vedya. Krishna says this is the ultimate goal of Vedic culture. Vidashcha sarvar aham eva vedya. Vedanta krit veda vid eva cha aham. I am the compiler of the Vedanta. And I know the essence, and this essence is me, Krishna says. So Mahadev, Lord Shiva, he represents this consciousness. And this is the hint for us, dear devotees. This is the hint that don't follow Daksha. Don't take Vedic culture that seriously. That seriously means that don't think this is all in all, that the Vedic culture is the goal of life. Because Vedic culture means that, yes, so I will follow the Varnashrama rules, I will be brahmachari. If you're a good brahmachari, then what will be the result? You will find a nice girl. This is how most of the brahmacharis think. Maybe not think, but feel like, yes, if I'm a good brahmachari, I will have chance to get green card in America and find white girl in there. I will have beautiful family. Often we can find it, often we can see it. But actually, or maybe, no, this life I will be pious, I will be, very good person, I will be following all the rules, and then the next life, I will get the results. What could be the results? I will be born in America. I will get my passport from the very beginning. Or I will be born in the heavenly planets, and I will enjoy like anything there. This is the consciousness that we may have. Of course, I don't think any one of you has that consciousness, but this consciousness is deeply rooted in our heart, actually. We want to follow Vedic culture because this is proper life. Because this is this is a noble life. This is honorable life of a person. If you just follow your dharma, like especially here in the South India, sometimes you can see when like Brahmanas areas, residential areas where the Brahmanas live, and they follow all the rules. They have their Agni, this Agni is in that corner, like kitchen is in this place, and toilet is without this and that. Everything is paka. And there is a Brahmana cafe where they serve Brahmana coffee and Brahmana tea and so-called. So they separate. They follow all the rules, at least most of the rules. And we may have this illusion, that, well, actually, the goal of life is to become a Brahmana. Maybe not this life, but maybe next life I will become a Brahmana and I will enjoy this sattva guna, or sattvam restaurant at least. So I will enjoy something. And this is not the proper way actually to do. Therefore, Mahadev, Lord Shiva, he represents something which is beyond this following Vedic culture. And we will read these verses. What happened was that there was this conflict between Karma Mimamsa, or even you can say Karma Kanda, the Vedic culture, and the essence of Vedic culture. Sarvasi Chaham, Hridi Sanivishna means Bhakti. And Bhakti represented by Lord Shiva. Okay? So this is the conflict that we have gone through. This is what we have observed here. And as the result, Daksha lost everything. Why? Because even if you follow Vedic culture, what will be the result? What is the natural result of following the Vedic culture? Chaturvarga. What is it? Goodness. Sattvam. Yes. And when you reach the sattva gun, what happens to you? You become attached to it because it's pleasurable. So when you follow the Vedic culture, you become attached to it. And when you're attached, you become proud. You can see all this, even in yourself you can see. This Brahminical consciousness. Maybe some of you are from Brahmana families. You may feel sometimes that I am higher than others. I am like, I'm more superior to others. Or you can see it in others. Other people, they may be very, like looking down at you because you're a rickshaw wala and he's a pandit. But it's not important what others think about you. It's important what I think about others. So this is why we're saying that first of all we look into our hearts. And if sometimes we see that pride in our heart. So, whoa, I'm following the Sattva Guna rules. I wake up early in the morning, I take my bath, I don't drink tea, I go to Mangalarati. Mangalarati. No tea, Mangalarati. Okay? Those are my vows. Maybe I have given vows even. Yes, I'm following the 4 regs. I'm, chanting my rounds. 14 or 15 or 16 or 17. No, 18. I'm so great. I'm chanting 20 rounds almost every day. So I may have this pride. And this is what actually the Daksha represents. That I'm following. Therefore, I become attached and I become proud. And when one becomes proud, what happens to him? He offends others. He commits offenses. Becomes arrogant. Arrogance means offenses. Because I don't care for others, actually. And this is what happened to Daksha. So this is the lesson that we should learn from this 4th canto, from the first part of the 4th canto, because there are several stories. All the stories of the 4th canto actually describe how one should not become attached to Vedic culture, but one should go beyond Vedic culture. What's that? Traigunya Vishayaveda, Nistragunya Bhavarjuna. Krishna says, Arjuna, please give up this Vedic culture, because this is all coming from Triguna. Nistraigunya bhava. He says that you become above the Vedic culture. So we came to Krishna consciousness not to become Vedic. We came here to become bhaktas, which is beyond Vedic culture. Of course, and we should mention definitely that Vedic culture is important because this is the proper basis for us to go further. But this is not the goal. But this is the point of today's lecture. Okay? So of course we know that Vedic culture is important and we preach it to others. But we should never think it's the goal. It's the ultimate destination. It's just the means. Of course, this is one of the means to elevate our consciousness. But it's not even the main means. Like if you go to the West, God save you from going there, but who knows? If you go there, you will see nobody follows Vedic culture. But still people become devotees. Why? Because it's not the Vedic culture that makes our consciousness elevated. It's the bhakti in the heart of Prabhupada. Like with Santa Krishna Prabhu yesterday night we were walking there and we were remembering about Prabhupada. That although he was staying in this beautiful surrounding in Vrindavan, he had everything he needed. He had everything. Everything. But he left it when he was 70 years old. He left it and he went to, nobody knows where, to some America, to the Western world. For what? For preaching Krishna consciousness. So this is the essence, that we are not in the material world to become Vedic Brahmanas. We are not here to become Dakshas. Daksha means expert. We're not here to become expert followers of Vedic culture. We're here to become devotees. And that is possible only by the grace of a great devotee, like Prabhupada. And by his grace, we're here. Of Prabhupada, the founder, Acharya of International Society for Krishna Consciousness. If it were not for Prabhupada, we wouldn't be here. Maybe some of you would be Vedic Brahmanas, but for several lifetimes. But what next? And then you become dog again. So therefore, because in the Kali Yuga Varnashrama is not working. You cannot be Brahmana and then you go to, then you become Indra or whatever. No, it's not working. The whole system is not working. You become dog or a rat next life. That's the destination, unfortunately. Because even the Brahmanas, they don't follow everything. They drink tea, they take pan, they etc. It's all superficial. Of course, we're not criticizing, we're just analyzing. So therefore, our idea is to become Krishna devotees. And what happened to Daksha, we can see that although he was following the Vedic rituals, the first lesson actually from this canto is that it's not possible to follow all the Vedic rituals. Yes, we speak about the Vedic lifestyle, but we're not glorifying it as an ultimate goal. We say that, we can use the principles of Vedic life, but we cannot follow all the minute rituals of Vedic life. Even Daksha couldn't follow all of them. Even Prithu Maharaj couldn't follow. Maharaj Prithu, he couldn't perform all the 100 sacrifices. You remember? He could only perform 99 because it's very difficult. And so many obstacles are there. And what to speak about Kali Yuga? In Kali Yuga, we cannot follow all the Vedic rites and rituals. So this is the first lesson. The second lesson is that even if you think you follow, still you become attached, you become proud, and then you offend. And this is the main problem, that when you become very proud, then you become arrogant and you offend. And the worst thing that may happen to you is that you offend whom? A devotee. Vaishnava Parada. Hati Mata. Lord Chaitanya says that Vaishnava Parada is like a mad elephant who enters your house and just destroys everything. Enters your garden and destroys everything. Elephants are huge. You have elephants here? Yeah, in Bengaluru? They are huge, like in Udupi, you can see elephants sometimes. Yeah? When you go to Udupi, you can see them. They are taking your coins and then giving the coin to the person. They are huge, they can break anything in this building. So this is what the Vaishnava Parada does. And therefore, we should be very careful not to become Brahmanas, but to become devotees of Krishna. Devotees of the devotees. This is the main lesson. And then, what else? So, and after it happened, after Daksha lost everything, he lost absolutely everything. His life, his intelligence, his power of speech even. He couldn't even speak. Oh, we think, I'm so eloquent, I'm a speaker, I'm a Bhagavatam lecturer, whatever, I'm a preacher. I cannot utter a single word without Krishna's mercy. This all depends on Krishna, everything. All my powers, and he lost everything because he thought that he is the doer. Kartaham iti manyate. I am the karta, I am the doer. This is the problem of the Vedic culture, without Krishna consciousness. So therefore, what happened? Daksha, when he lost everything, then, you just read it, I'm just coming to the chapter, that then when Mahadev was satisfied, pacified, and he said, okay, let's continue the sacrifice. And Daksha was given his ability to speak. But he was not given his head back. It was burned already. So he was given a goat's head. And miraculously, he could speak again. And he started to speak the prayers to Lord Shiva. And his prayers are very interesting. Today we're reading 16th verse, but before those verses were 13, 14, and 15, I believe, right? Yeah? Correct? This is chapter number 7, yeah, or 8? No. 7, yeah. Sorry. I didn't have the book, I had to... somehow it's in the wrong place. Yeah. The sacrifice performed by Daksha. So Daksha continues his sacrifice. And in the verses 13 to 14 and etc. So it's very important. Another lesson I would like to share with you from these prayers. I will not go deeply into the prayers, but the main, okay, I will ask you. So what's your main impression from the prayers of Daksha? What's your main impression based on what we have just said, on everything that I have said? Who could share? What's your impression? What do you think about Daksha's prayers? Huh? Who is that?
He understood his mistake and
He understood his mistake and he is repenting. Anybody else thinks this way? Who agrees with that? Raise your hand. Oh, nobody else. See? Oh, yes, another person. Oh, 2. Oh, 3. Okay, 5. Actually, that's correct. But any other opinion? Anybody else thinks otherwise? Yes? He considered it as mercy. Okay, that's right. That's correct. But what else you can say? Anybody? Something? See, Daksha, he was in a difficult situation. He lost everything. Then he regained it. He got it back. Yeah? And he got back the opportunity to continue the sacrifice. And what he is saying to Shiva, to Lord Shiva, he says, thank you, you're so merciful, right? You're so merciful to whom? Huh? To me, to Daksha. No, he didn't say to me. He did, but first he said not to me, but who? Not everybody. No. Huh? Vedavada Brahmanas. See again, please, can you hear it? That Daksha says, you're very merciful to the Brahmanas. Vedavadis, yeah, he calls them. Kind of. He says Brahmanas. I'm not sure. We can see. Bhuyam anugraha aho bhagavan takrito me dandastraya mai brito yad ati pralabdha na brahma bandushu chavam bhagavatan avagya. He says, it's interesting. He says, you are very merciful to learned Brahmanas. What to speak about me? Avagya. Means like a fool. Yeah? And actually, I'll tell you a secret. Daksha didn't solve his problem, ultimately. Because he had to take birth again. And he was born as Daksha again from Prachetas. Yeah? That we will learn further. So that means that actually he didn't learn the lesson. He didn't learn the lesson. Therefore, he says, you're very merciful to Brahmanas. And to me, an avagya, a fool also. Actually, he doesn't think himself to be a fool. He thinks he's a Brahmana. So this identification is very deep. Even though Daksha went through struggles, he went through death, he went through miseries, but still he thinks he's a Brahmana. He still thinks he's a Daksha. And although he's praying to Mahadev, you're so merciful, but he says, you're merciful to me because I'm a Brahmana, ultimately. So this identification is very, very deeply rooted in our consciousness. And even this contact, because this is not because the fourth canto is not about pure bhakti. It's not about, because pure bhakti can cure even that. And that we will see further is in the case of Vritrasura, in the case of Maharaja Prahlada, first of all, that anything can be cured by pure devotional service. But here, this is a very subtle thing, that because Mahadev, although he's a pure devotee, but he represents Jnana Mishra Bhakti in this fourth canto, not pure Bhakti. Yes, Mahadev is not representing pure Bhakti. He representing Jnana Mishra Bhakti. Therefore, it couldn't cure the heart of Daksha completely. And Daksha didn't surrender his soul to Mahadev. He just surrendered because, hands up, surrender. That's it. I surrender. This is the way of his surrender. But the proper surrender will be described further in the 8th canto. Like Bali Maharaj, he surrendered properly. That was the proper surrender. But here, Daksha, so the problem is, we can see the problem now, but we don't know the proper solution for the problem. We know that the solution is somewhere there, that bhakti is the solution, but how it solves the problem, yet we don't know. So anyways, Daksha, he spoke his prayers, and then he says that you're empowered, you're the protector of the regulative principles, means what? Of the Vedic culture. Again, he speaks about Vedic culture. So he's obsessed with this Vedic culture, even though he saw that it leads to nowhere, but still he is a little bit inside. Then he says that, I didn't know your full glories, and I, this and that, I spoke some improper words towards you, etc. So yeah, he is repenting, but his repentance is not very deep, unfortunately. Therefore, today's verse says, finally we got to the verse. Maitreya Uvacha. Shall we read together? Kshama payaiva ma. Oh, sorry. Yeah, let's read the word for word. It's verse number 16. Maitreya. Repeat after me. Maitreya. The sage Maitreya. Uvacha. Said. Kshama. Forgiveness. Apya. Receiving. Evam. Thus. Saha. King Daksha. Midvamsam. Unto Lord Shiva. Brahmana. Along with Lord Brahma. Cha. Also. Anumantritaha. Being permitted. Karma. This sacrifice. Santanayam asa. Began again. Sa. Along with. Upadhyaya. Learned sages. Ritvik. The priests. Oh, it's a good word for Bengaluru. Adibhihi. And others. It's also interesting, see, it says here that he continued performing sacrifice with whom? With two types of brahmanas. Upadhyaya brahmana and Ritvika brahmana. Yeah? Upadhyaya brahmana means what? Teacher, yeah. Upadhyaya means those who know the Vedas. And Ritvik means those who perform the sacrifice. Rita comes from the word Rita. So basically, he wanted to continue, Daksha wanted to continue the same way. Upadhyaya and Ritvik. It doesn't say Vaishnava Brahmana. So see, the problem remained. Although we should learn the lesson, but we see that the problem remained. So we don't know the solution yet. I will just read the translation because time is almost, and the next verse. The great sage Maitreya said, thus being pardoned by Lord Shiva, or excused by Lord Shiva, King Daksha, with the permission of Lord Brahma, again began the performance of the yagya, along with the great learned sages, the priests, and others. Verse number 17. Vaishnavam yagya santatyai. Vaishnavam yagya santatyai. Trikapalam dvijotamaha. Trikapalam dvijotamaha. Purodasham niravapam. Purodasham niravapam. Virasam sarga shuddhaye. Virasam sarga shuddhaye. Thereafter, in order to resume the activities of sacrifice, the Brahmanas first arranged to purify the sacrificial area of the contamination caused by the touch of Virabhadra and the other ghostly followers of Lord Shiva. Then they arranged to offer into the fire the oblations known as Purodasha. So, yeah, see what it says, that first Daksha wanted to continue in the same way. So, even if we become punished by the material nature, our heart doesn't change. Therefore, but what helped the situation, what saved the situation, was that there was Lord Shiva still. The bhakti was there. Therefore, Lord Shiva arranged it. This is how this verse starts. Vaishnavanam means that to Vishnu. Means that the meaning is that Daksha, he wanted to continue the same way. The same is happening with us. When we come in contact with the devotee, first we think that, oh my God, my life is useless, but maybe I should just continue. Maybe I should just go on, live in Sattva Guna. But no, but because I have surrendered myself, even though not sufficiently, but that's sufficient. Even though I'm not 100% surrendered, but still I have surrendered myself to a spiritual master, because Shiva represents the spiritual master here. Because I have surrendered myself, even little bit, the spiritual master takes me and he engages me in devotional service. This is the secret of the fourth canto. That yes, maybe I'm not a pure devotee. Yes, maybe I'm contaminated with this karma kandya vichar. But if I surrender myself to a pure devotee, he will engage me in a proper way. Therefore, although in the 16th verse, Daksha, he made an effort to continue in the same way, but in the 17th verse it says, no, wait a second. You should not continue in the same way. No, do it in the proper way, which is Vaishnavanam. And this is what this verse is about. And they had to purify this sacrificial arena from this contamination of karma kandya. Srila Prabhupada's purport. Lord Shiva's followers and devotees, headed by Virabhadra, are known as Viras, and they are ghostly demons. Not only did they pollute the entire sacrificial arena by their very presence, but they disturbed the whole situation by passing stool and urine. So this is the other side of the Vedic culture. The Vedic culture means that there is an opposite side, always opposite side, which is the dark side. The dark side of this world is the demonic consciousness. So if we deal with the Vedic culture, we will have to deal with the demonic consciousness. If you have Vishnu Bhakta Smrita Deva Sura Stad Viparyayo, if you follow the Sura Dharma, or even if you follow properly the Vedic culture, you will have enemies, always enemies. So, but on the contrary, spiritual life means Ajata Shatru, means there is no enemy. So even if you follow the Vedic culture, this is another, how you call it, the backside or the consequence of following Vedic culture. You will always have enemies. So here they are, the demons. Asuras tadviparyayo means that the opposition. Not only and they not just by their presence in your life, there will be problems, but they will do particular things in your life. They will spoil your life. Even if you try to follow Vedic culture, there will be people who will be spoiling your life. Therefore, the infection they had created was to be first purified by the method of offering Purodasha oblations. A Vishnu Yagya or an offering to Lord Vishnu cannot be performed uncleanly. So this is one of the. Anyways, maybe I will comment it later. To offer anything in an unclear state is called Seva Paradha. The worship of the Vishnu deity in the temple is also Vishnu Yagya. In all Vishnu temples, therefore, the priest who takes care of the Archana Vidhi must be very clean. Everything should be always kept neat and clean, and the footsteps should be prepared in a neat and clean manner. All these regulative principles are described in the Nectar of Devotion. There are 32 kinds of offenses in discharging Archana service. It is required, therefore, that one be extremely careful not to be unclean. Generally, whenever any ritualistic ceremony is begun, the holy name of Lord Vishnu is first chanted in order to purify the situation. So, see, please, I will finish just in a few minutes, if you don't mind, just 5 minutes, but it's important to say these things. So, see, when we surrender ourselves to the spiritual master, it doesn't mean that we wholesomely or that we absolutely negate Vedic culture. No, we know that the Vedic culture is not the ultimate goal. We know that we should go beyond that. But when we do that, when we surrender to the spiritual master, then we have to base our efforts on the same background. on the same platform, which is Vedic culture, which is Sattva Guna. So we don't reject Vedic culture. See, we don't reject Vedic culture. We do what? We reject the goals of the Vedic culture. We reject the purpose of following Vedic culture as it is. No, we take this different purpose. The purpose is what? The purpose is bhakti. But the means is Vedic culture. Vedic culture is one of the means of attaining proper goal. So therefore, Prabhupada explains here that when you surrender to the spiritual master, he gives you sadhana which is based on sattva guna. It's not that we start, stop following Vedic rituals. No, on the contrary, when we see the deity worship, Archana Vidhi, this is the way to satisfy the Lord, but we do it in a sattvic way. Therefore, surrender to the spiritual master doesn't mean that we reject or neglect sattva guna. No, we use it, but we use it not as a goal in itself, but we use it for reaching the proper goal. Correct? Yes? You understand it? This is what Prabhupada explains here. And the next idea in Prabhupada's commentary will be very important, the most important. I will finish with that. Whenever one is in pure, here Prabhupada says, whether one is in pure or impure condition, internally or externally, if one chants or even remembers the holy name of the Supreme Lord, Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, one immediately becomes purified. What is this? What is the verse Prabhupada means here? Yeah, Hare Krishna Mahamandra. But particularly in this sentence, he reiterates the, what's that verse, how it begins? When we chant it while doing sacrifices usually. Oma pavitra pavitro va sarva vastam gatopi va yaksmaret pundarikaksham sabahya bhyantaram shuchi. So this is important to be shuchi. It's important to be brahmana. We have to become brahmanas. Brahmana means what? Brahma janati iti brahmana. Samskara di bhaved vija vedapathat bhaved vipro brahma janati iti brahmana. Brahmana means not one who has upanayana. Brahmana means one who knows Brahman. Brahman means what? Athato brahma jigyasa. The goal of life. The one who knows the goal of life, he is called brahmana. So this is why we have to become brahmanas, dear devotees. We have to become brahmanas. And brahmana means brahmacharati iti. Brahmachari means brahma acharati. We have to live as brahminically as possible. Yet, but in order to gain the proper goal. So this is why Prabhupada says, but even if you cannot follow all the meticulously, all the rules and regulations, you should always remember the lotus-eyed Lord, Pundarikaksha. Okay, the Yagya arena was desecrated by the presence of Lord Shiva's followers, headed by Virabhadra, and therefore the entire arena had to be sanctified. Although Lord Shiva was present and he is all auspicious, it was still necessary to sanctify the place because his followers had broken into the arena and committed so many obnoxious acts. Sanctification was possible only by the chanting of the holy name of Vishnu. Wow, this is the most important lesson, that actually the secret of Vedic culture is chanting the holy name of the Lord. Trikalapa, which can sanctify the three worlds. In other words, it is admitted herein that the followers of Lord Shiva are generally unclean. They are not even very hygienic. Nowadays it's very important. Even the rickshaw-walas are hygienic. At least this is what Ola says. No. They do not take baths regularly. They wear long hair and they smoke ganja. Persons of such irregular habits are counted amongst the ghosts. Since they were present in the sacrificial arena, the atmosphere became polluted, and it had to be sanctified by Trikapala ablations, which indicate the invocation of Vishnu's favor. So Vishnu's favor is the essence of what we're doing. Therefore, Rupa Goswami says that the bhakti means what? Anukulyasya sankalpa. Oh, no. Anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karma janavritam anukulyena krishnanu shivanam bhakti rutama. Bhakti means that we want to satisfy the Lord. And in order to satisfy Him, we follow Vedic culture. We do follow. We do become Brahmanas. We should become Brahmanas to satisfy the Lord for Krishna's pleasure. Okay, so this is what I wanted to say. I'm sorry for being so late. Shall we just finish here? Yeah? Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Grantha Raja Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi. Hari Hari Bol.